Your thoughts are very closely connected to your personality. Have you ever wondered why you have two children and they seem to be totally different? It's the same home, the same genes, the same rasam jadam, the same environment more or less, yet each child comes up with a unique personality.
Even the wife and husband, same rasam sadam, same.
But not same blood, right?
Yeah,
That's at least
yes.
different, different gene.
But I wonder all the time, why is he different? He eats like me.
Yeah, some people, I mean, it's not even your body. I'm not talking about about the body type. Children will have a different body type and that's completely connected to the genes that they inherit. But in the course of a day, whatever is obsessing in your mind, whatever you're focusing on, that will become your personality type. Those are the beliefs and the values that you're going to hold on to or release. So if you're brought up in a home where, the father and mother are very gentle and very nurturing and very caring, one of two things can happen. Either you become a person that only nurtures non-violent, calming thoughts. You don't go for the things that are exciting, that are, violent in nature or, use of bad language or anything like that. You'll tend to be a very calm person. Or you could rebel against it. Now you can have very calm parents, very nurturing parents, but say there's a huge age gap between the first and the second. And the first child feels that you love the second one more. That child will have a need for attention. Now the thoughts that are going through that child's mind will be all filled with, how can I make my mother and my father love me? What do I need to do to make sure that they love me as much as they love my younger brother? The thoughts that go on during the course of the day will be completely different. And they can range from anything from just acting out or doing badly in school, to getting into wrong company, to growing up dysfunctional and buying a gun and, going on a rampage. Some of these kids that go on rampages, they come from good homes. They've been cared for as children. We protect our children like anything. In fact, I didn't know what poor meant for the longest time. Because we saw but didn't really notice. We looked at all the poor people, but no contact with them. We didn't really see what is happening in their lives and why are they different from us. That is what his father tried to do with Buddha. Protect him from all the bad. He was not allowed outside the prison, outside the castle. He only saw the most beautiful silks. He walked on rose petals. He had a bath in milk. He was given the best of food. He never saw anything. Yet the minute he saw it, the transformation was instant. The transformation was instant. There was a switch of personality right there. So you may start off with a very aggressive personality as a child. But it can change. Have you noticed that the thoughts that preoccupied your mind as a child are totally different from what you are now? Have you noticed that? That what you worried about when you were a little kid is completely different from what you worry about now. And as a child, perhaps you were economically clueless. You took your father's and mother's money and nicely went out here and there and spent and did everything. But you get into the workforce and you lose your job. The whole obsession becomes about, what about me? How do I save my money? How do I conserve my life? You stop thinking about others and it just becomes focused inward. I have to take care of myself. What's going to happen to me? Everything's going to be bad. And this was not the personality you had as a child. In my book, Rajam is carefree, like a tomboy as a child, climbing trees and doing whatever she wants, running here, running there. But then she marries and her mother-in-law torments her. And everything changes. She has a complete personality shift. She's not sure of herself. She's not sure of anything she does. She's not sure whether she put the right amount of salt in the food. She just becomes a dithering non-entity. That was not the case. So our personalities, contrary to what most psychologists say, are not set in stone. Your personality develops and changes depending on what preoccupies your mind. Now, at this present moment, I'm an extremely trusting person. I trust the whole world. I think everybody thinks the way I think. I don't doubt that, oh my God, is this person actually a serial killer in hiding? That thought will never come. The other day after your puja, we dropped the priest home and we dropped his child, 2-year-old child. She was not in a car seat. I didn't even notice until somebody pointed out, how could you drive? Do you know that if you had a car accident, they would sue you? Now the thought did not even occur to me when I put that child in my car. It just did not even occur. But there are people who are constantly looking for things about others that are, that this could go wrong, that could go wrong, don't do this. See, if I remained like that, I could never do anything for anyone else. I'd be always worried about what's going to happen to me. And that's not who I am. That's not my personality. And it's just, we don't actually spend enough time to think about what is happening in our lives and what are we thinking about. What are our children thinking about? What is it that they are watching all the time? What are the TV shows that they're watching? Why do we monitor all these things? Because if they continually look at the Kardashians and shows like that, it's going to create an envy in them about a lifestyle they will probably never have. Now, I tell my kids to be happy with everything they have. Does that mean both of them are? No. One will be, one won't be. Depends on the circumstance. If the child has got money problems or difficulty maintaining a job, your preoccupation right through. What about the ones that have difficulty making friends? They're weird. You're different. You're dressed dorky. You don't hang out with a cool crowd. How does that child's personality develop? Is there any self-esteem or self-worth? Am I worth anything? Another problem, I think, a lot of kids I've seen for the many years that I did Bal Vihar is coping with their ethnic identity. Who am I? Because either the parents are entrenched in the culture and are, making them recite, shlokams from morning to night and go to the temple, which they cannot see. They don't see eye to eye with the rest of the world. or the parents are letting them be, whatever is happening at home, there is a cultural identity for children in this, of Indian origin at least, in this country. And I saw it very, very clearly. Because on the one hand, they want to be Indian, but they're not sure whether they're ready to accept that in its entirety. And on the other hand, they want to be accepted by America. They want to be American too. And it only comes very much later in life that they truly accept the culture that they belong to. That I am, and I'm proud of it. Once that comes, it comes at different points in children's lives, but they all go through this. Does Pati have to come to school wearing a sari? Please don't wear a salwar kameez and come to school. You have to wear the dot. Why? Why? No one wears it. None of my friends' parents wear a dot. All of these questions that come up. And it becomes, the parents have a very hard time. But developing in the child the confidence that I am, and I'm proud of it, is very important. Whatever that child is, whatever your culture is, and none of us here have the same culture at home. None of us. We're all Indian. But each one of us is teaching our kids different things. I mean, as a child, I heard a lot of bad language growing up. Because my father was a very angry man. And he freely used whatever came to his mouth. But I married a man whose motto was no bad words, NBW. So what happened? 30 years, the first 20 years I lived with my dad, but the next 30 I've been with my husband. And my personality has become such that if I hear bad language, it does something to me. I want to be a person who's free from violence of all kind. And violence of words is the worst for me. Saying something mean, saying something abusive, using bad language is the worst. You don't have to actually physically get up and hit anybody. You can do it very easily with the mouth. And just a general belief that I will be calm and I will be happy all the time, and only good things will come out of my mouth. If I have any thoughts that are not so good, that are filled with rancor, I will hold on to them and I will release them. This is the person I want to be. This is the personality I want. Of course, every now and then something will slip out. And there are others who use such language very, very easily. I've seen Parsis. I don't know if you all are familiar with the Parsi community. You should see the names they call their kids. Lovingly. Lovingly. It's hilarious. And they're actually not abusing them. It is the name for the child. And if I tell you what it is, you'll be shocked. But I've seen this in India. You go on a train or you go on a bus, words that you hear are terrible. People talking to each other, young kids in college. The way they refer to each other, the way they use four-letter words as an adjective before everything else. It's not at all a necessary word. And it's supposed to be very cool at that phase in your life, but then you grow up and you stop using it. I've seen all my nieces and nephews who I've seen using, words like that very easily, very cool now that they have children. Shh, no bad words. You can't even say stupid in the company of the child. Personality has changed. They want to give only good things, only good things. Shelter, shelter, shelter. Shelter, shelter, shelter. You think that if you shelter, 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 your child's personality will be just what you want. Put them in the car seat, sit on the sit on the pot for 5 minutes a day, eat only on the dining table, eat only foods that are recommended by the FDA, eat everything shelter, meet all people regularly, like check out the parents. Do they have guns in the house? Is the father a pedophile? Is all of that. You do all the background checks and you shelter your child. You're going to turn out exactly like you wanted. What do you think?
They'll develop their own personality for sure.
The world is large and full of experiences. It's like the Buddha syndrome. They kept Buddha at home. Only good things. But his destiny was overriding. And he had to see the sights that transformed his mind. You can't hold your children back. You can't typecast a personality forever. It's what obsesses in the mind. It's the thoughts that continually are fed day in and day out and day in and day out. Why do they say your prayers the first thing you get up and say your prayers the last thing at night? So you have good thoughts through the course of the day and good thoughts during the course of the night. God forbid something happens in the night, you've said Om Namah Shivaya last thing, or Vishnu, Om Namo Narayana last thing, and you're at the lotus feet. That is the whole purpose of saying just good things. But in spite of all the people that go and throng at temples and go and throng at mosques and churches, is everyone's personality calm? No, it's not. Each person is going to take different things. Because what they take from the world and from the ideology they're faced with and from the circumstances that they're faced with is going to be different. Now the generation that came out of partition in India, our parents' generation, have a feeling about Muslims that we don't have. Because we grew up with Muslims living left and right and in a peaceful time. Our growing years were very peaceful. So my feelings towards all communities is made up by that. You grew up in Syria, or you grew up in Palestine, or you grew up in the middle of Africa, in the middle of all the revolution. You're a Hutu and Tutsi, I guess. That's what they call in Rwanda. How is that going to frame your personality? What feelings of hate and love are rising and falling within you? So the quality of your day is very important. Because that actually forms your belief system and your personality. Like I said, the thoughts are 10,000, 20,000 a day. You read some thoughts rise and fall. But the ones you believe in, or you buy into, you say, this is mine. And those are charged with emotion. So the child that feels neglected says, as soon as the mother says, give that last piece of toast to the child. See, again, my mother's doing it again. She's doing it again. She doesn't want me to eat the last piece of toast. It's always given to that child. Then the cycle goes on. She really doesn't like me. I've got to do something. So then I should do something right now. Drops the glass of milk. Whatever you believe in is going to be your personality. Is going to be the person that you are. And recognize that in your children. And don't try to control it. Don't try to control the kind of thoughts that come in, because you can't. Each child will face its own destiny, its own set of experiences, its own internalization, and its own belief system. This belief system is fundamental in the quality of your day. Are you suspicious by nature? Your child can't have a decent play date. Because you'll be waiting outside or you'll be going through their drawers to check if they have guns. Not saying that's a bad idea, but are you suspicious by nature or are you too free by nature? We have to examine the way we are too and how we are changing over time. And nothing is either good or bad, it just is. Ultimately, what matters is that I am, and I'm proud of it. I am, and I'm proud of it.